Hi, welcome to a Vinceunlimited production, the Toyota Aygo. A look around the exterior, interior and infotainment functions. The Aygo was first introduced by Toyota in 2005 using a platform shared with the Citroën C1 and Peugeot 107, later the 108. The first generation model had facelift variants in 2009 and 2012. This is a second generation model, designated AB14, produced from 2014, with the tagline, "Go fun yourself," which must have been a slight mistranslation, I think. In 2018, it received another minor facelift, and the car, if not this variant, is still available for sale in the UK now in 2020. All the Aygos are built by Kolín, in the Czech Republic. In particular, this car is a second generation, pre-facelift 2018 Toyota Aygo X-Style VVT-I CVT. A standard X-Style automatic without extras would have retailed at £12,635 new, or £11,935 as a manual version. Came with a transferable 5-year 100,000 mile warranty. Now it's probably valued from a dealer around £9,500 to £10,000. This is a standard model, apart from some unique added red coloured accents from the Express version, but without the red side sill protection strips. These details perfectly complement this white version, with the distinctive black X design motif at the front. The car is a compact city car, usually built with 4 doors and a hatchback, meaning some people call it a 5-door, which is untrue unless you let yourself in at the back, like a dog. Standard features include electric windows, 15-inch black alloys, rear privacy glass, reversing camera, LED daytime running lights, dusk sensing headlights, front fog lamps, and hill start assist control. The car has front-wheel drive with a continuously variable automatic transmission, and like so many others has the engine at the front. It is powered by good old-fashioned petrol and sized at 998 cc's. It's designed to produce 68 horsepower or 51 kilowatts according to post-1972 EEC directives, and 70 foot-pound of torque. Officially, it can sit petrol at 68.9 miles per gallon. Officially, not actually. And it outputs 97 grams per kilometre of gunk. Look at the left-hand side of the engine compartment as you peer in. You should know where the washer bottle filler is and how to use it. You ought to know where the engine oil dipstick is, and subsequently the engine oil fill cap. And if you are reasonably mechanically minded, you might want to know where the brake fluid cap is. Finally, on the right hand side of the engine compartment lies the radiator cap. Being a compact city car, it has the space expected of such a minuscule vehicle, which is to say, not enough really. It packs 4 seats into its 5-door hatchback frame, which is just 3.455 metres long, equating to 136 inches if your brain still lives in our imperial past. Its wheelbase is 2.34 metres, or 92.1 inches. Combine all this and it's really not big enough for adults in every seat at the same time. The width is 1.615 metres, 63.6 inches, which means a bit of unplanned shoulder bumping, particularly during cornering. The generous front seat base cushion bolsters means hips keep apart, providing you don't suffer from a donut and chip-induced stature. In the back, with no bolstering at all, body rolling is common during cornering. The 1.46 metre 57.5 inches height is fine unless you're freakishly tall and cannot work around the height adjustable driver's seat. So let's have a look at the driving controls. Left side of the leather trim steering wheel, audio volume and selector controls along with mode button. In the middle a classic horn come driver's airbag. Note just behind the wheel the manual floppy paddle gear changers, down on the left and up on the right. Talking of right, here are the steering wheel mounted phone answering buttons and a pointless but matching blank. The stalk on the left is for lights including the auto function, fog lamps, flashing and indicators. On the right, the stalk is for the wipers including intermittent functionality, washers and rear wash wipe, below which you can see the folding key with the remote lock-in buttons. And further down on the right, where the lower you go the more difficult it is to see and reach, are the heated electric adjustable door mirrors, traction control disabler, headlamp height adjuster and remote fuel filler flap release. And on the floor the two pedals to make the car go and stop. Now let's look at the centre console, conveniently located centrally between the front seats. At the top is the X-Touch multimedia system, here shown the SatNav display. Below is the hazard warning switch, and below that the climate controls with automatic air conditioning. And buttons all around the central display for recirculation, airflow direction, temperature and fan adjustment, fan screen demist and heated rear screen. Plus the only button you need, the auto function. Below the climate controls nestles a 12 volt standard car power outlet along with a USB connector and an auxiliary jack plug. Then some cup holders and the X-Shift automatic transmission control. Starting in neutral, snick the gear stick left and forward and you select R for reverse gear, at which point the rear view camera nips out from above the rear number plate and the infotainment screen gets taken over by the camera view with a couple of handy moving parallelograms to aid reversing angles. Pull the gear stick back and to the right to the neutral position and you can then slip the stick back towards you to the driving position, which is called E, which must be Toyota for go forwards. And if you want to stir the box manually, click the gear stick fully to the right and go up and down the gears to your heart's content. Checking out the instrument binnacle and you can see a central speedometer flanked by a vertical rev counter on the left and spaces on the right for warning lamps including green suggested shift arrows used during manual gear changing. Inside the circular speedometer dial are more warning lamps and a central multifunction LCD display with gear selection indicator, various selectable information and a fuel gauge at the bottom. But let's hear what it sounds like when switched on. Now to check out the multitude of functions available in the LCD. Starting with the average miles per gallon, which at 41.1 is not exactly near the official 69 that it claims. 181 miles is the current expected range before fueling, 30 mile an hour the average speed, partly explained in the 41.1 miles per gallon. 3,584 the total number of miles this car has driven. 109 the number of miles on trip A since last refueling in this case. 326.3 miles on the second trip setting B, reset at the previous service, and 10 degrees Celsius, the outside temperature. Well, I did film this in February. And finally, the current MPG, which is not reading due to the fact I was not driving along when this was filmed. Then back to the average MPG, which has now dropped to 41. And if the left push button is pressed, the cycle between functions reverses. Mind you, one still has to insert an arm through the steering wheel spokes to select an option which is dangerous whilst driving. The infotainment screen on an Aygo is called the X-Touch Multimedia system. It's a touchscreen device with inbuilt satellite navigation functionality, a DAB tuner and Bluetooth connectivity. Interacted by two control push buttons on the right, the upper one to make selections and switch on or off by holding down, and the bottom one to call up the home screen. and this is the annoyingly funky, skewed home menu screen. So let's start from a blank screen, carefully cleaned of sticky fingerprints. First we switch on the menu screen by pressing the lower of the two buttons, giving us a choice of 5 selectable icons. Starting top left we select the phone icon, and it wants to pair a phone before any phone function is available. Bottom left we choose setup, this gives us another screen of icons. Again, starting top left we'll look at general, this gives us a list of selectable control functions with scroll buttons on the right for more. For example, software information, which tells you about the license, again with right hand scroll button function. Just press pause on your device if you want to read these screens in detail. The return arrow at the top right returns you to the previous used screen display. Pressing audio works in a similar manner for the various audio functions. Back to the setup screen, and next up is display. This allows adjustment of the head unit display properties, where you can adjust colour, brightness and contrast for the unit separate to the reversing camera. Two return presses later and back to the setup screen, where we'll now look at Bluetooth. Here is where you can connect to the car from your phone and choose other functions such as changing your PIN. Back to setup, and now select phone to let the car search for your mobile. And the final selectable option on the setup screen is screen off, which temporarily disables the whole display, all ready to leap back into action again when the screen is fingered once more. Then, as always, if you want to return to the main menu screen at any time, just press the lower physical button. So let's look at the audio source options. You can see the car has FM, AM, DAB and Bluetooth audio highlighted. Select an FM and there's the bandwidth at the top with selectable presets, stations and manual tuning with quick search function. Because this may be a travel mode, note that the return arrow at the top right has been replaced by a much more useful time readout. So to go back to the audio source panel, select the beamed note icon, top left. Next up is the AM functions, similar to the FM but without the stations option, presumably because no one can find any AM stations anymore. Now the DAB, which is also similar to the FM, but this time unprogrammed, so I had no signal where this was filmed. And the Bluetooth audio option to read music and podcasts from your connected Bluetooth device. You may also have noted the two greyed out options for USB and AV for the connectors we saw earlier. A quick jump back to the main menu screen and we'll select the connection icon top right. Here you will see a greyed out icon next to the Navi icon. The greyed out one is usable when you install the Toyota Smart apps, which in my experience provided no more than the standard interface and were buggy and unusable. So let's stick to the standard system and look at Navi. This brings up the option for the map and SatNav where a detailed map is displayed. Touch the map screen once and an overlay of new icons appear. Here you can zoom in and out using the scroll buttons on the right. Or press the bunch of icons icon near the bottom left to launch yet another splatter of funky navigation icons. Top left a Drive Me Home selection, next to which is the user settings. First we'll select language, time zone, volume with the test button.
You have reached your destination.
Return back and onto units. Then date and time presentation. And about, giving details of the software and map versions. Again, you can freeze frame to see any detail. Now, press the top left wavy map icon to return to the map display. Touch the map to bring up the overlay controls, then once more on the bunch of icons icon. Now you can select the Drive To icon to bring up yet even more pickable buttons, this time all square. Here you can set an address or postal code, pick a point of interest, stored favourites, choose a point on map position, drive back from whence you came, and also recents where you had presently been, and another screen for good measure showing actual map coordinates. All of which bring up even more easy to use selector screens and keyboard layouts, which I haven't filmed because this video has to end at some point during our lives. So let's go back and finish the main navigation options by looking at the map settings, bringing up some more choices such as route settings. And back to map view. Now, this is an interesting one. Here you can switch between two 2D modes and a 3D mode. Let's pick 3D and go back to the map. Note something? I'll give you a moment. Spotted it? Or rather, you can't see it. There are no road names. None in 3D mode, just in 2D mode. I had the map and SatNav software checked for the latest update, and it appears Toyota doesn't provide road names in 3D mode. Apparently 3D is just a pictorial novelty. Seriously, that's what the dealer told me after consulting Toyota. I suspect lack of computer memory. Lack of memory as it contains so many screen menu selection options. So let's reset the map to 2D and go back to one of those options. And we'll finish on the trip overview, where you can analyse your trip data. Or, if you want to put another way, select the home menu button again and choose car information and spend all day looking at it ever so slightly differently. Which just about wraps all this up. I hope you were paying attention. We finish by switching off using the top right hand button, which at first thinks you want the audio muted, then gets the idea and switches off. Only to come back on again. It goes through its startup sequence, and then guess what? It displays the clock in yet another funky sloping way. So that's all for this look around. Thanks for watching. I've been Vince, for all of my life actually, not just in this video. If you like what I've done, why not press the appropriate thumbs up button? And while there, why not add a comment? Then subscribe to my channel to encourage me to make more videos. And hit the notification icon so YouTube can tell you when I next upload something else. And remember, like, comment and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching to the end. Goodbye, and press pause.